he like literally squeezed me and took a deep breath, and I literally felt all my energy suck out and go into him. I was like, and they'll feed off you. And that's the thing with karmic energy vampires. Once you get a taste of a light being, that's why you keep coming back. Because we're addictive. Mommy. They like to drink us. They like to deal with us. You know what I'm saying? This is what I love to do. Like, for example, right? I can go in people's head and I can go through their thoughts and shuffle the truth from the false and see what I need to find out about this person, right? When I vocalized, I was like, yeah, I'm about to just go through your head and figure out what I need to figure out. This closed his mind. No cap. But I was like, damn, you closed your mind, so you didn't let me back in type shit, right? He got confident. He got cocky. But little did he know, yeah, you kicked me out, but I'm still in that regardless. You gotta play coy with these. Never show them your whole hand. Play along with the game. I mean, that shit bad. Talking about.
Welcome back to another Energy Vampire video. I'm getting educated, you're getting educated. Let's continue to clock it. They don't make TV shows for no reason. This is another New Orleans vampire story. And if anybody watched the originals, you know, like, that was, New Orleans was the base of the show.
I'm riding, pick up this passenger, and I remember our conversation. And the craziest thing is I can remember her voice. I can, and even as I'm telling you this, I can hear her voice in my head. And I can even picture like this part of her face around her mouth, her lips. I can see them moving as she's talking to me. And I remember her hand being on my shoulder. And I remember what it felt like when she touched me. But a lot of other stuff, it's like, was just completely erased. So I pick her up, and I do know that we were having conversation. I talked to many of my passengers, and she is telling me I have really great energy. I told her thank you. You know, she asked me some things about myself, you know, nothing too private, nothing with too many details. So, you know, I just kind of gave her some general info. And I remember her telling me that she wasn't from here. That I do remember. And then she proceeds to tell me how much she loved New Orleans, how much she loved being there, living there, etc., etc. I do recall asking her where she was from originally, and all she told me was that she was from very far away. And it's funny again because I'm hearing her voice in my head as if this is weird. And I've never shared this story with anybody, so TikTok, you're getting it first. She touched my shoulder at one point, and this is where things got really strange. She touched my shoulder, and I felt like I just froze. And even as I'm talking to you right now, I can distinctly remember that feeling of feeling frozen. And my hands were on the wheel because I could see my hands on the wheel. Car wasn't moving, and being frozen in that moment, I hear her voice, but not like I'm here talking to you. In my head, I hear her voice telling me, "Don't be scared, that she's not gonna harm me." And then after that, we're moving again. And I remember kind of turning and looking like that, and she was sitting back in the seat and her hands were on her lap. And I said, what did you do to me? And she just smiled, and she says, "I just leached some of your energy." And I said, "What?"
Oh, hell no, you gotta get out of my car. Get out. Gotta go. Out. Get out. Give it back. Give it back first and get out. Give it back and get out.
She said, "I just leached some of your energy." She said, "This is gonna sound crazy, but I can assure you it's true. I'm a vampire." She said, "But I'm not the type of vampire that you've been taught about in books and movies." She said, "Those types of vampires exist, but they're very rare. I'm a vampire that feeds off of energy, and all I have to do is touch you to get it." She said New Orleans is a great place for her and her kind to exist, and that there are quite a few members of their tribe, is what she called them. I think I remember this part of our conversation so significantly because I believe when she touched me, she implanted something in my mind, whether you want to call it a memory or a thought or an idea, but she gave me something of herself probably to where I can recall this portion of the interaction between us. Maybe she knew that eventually I would share the story with others and therefore maybe make it a little bit more acceptable for them to start, you know, for her and her members to start presenting themselves. I don't know why she even chose me for this, but she told me that there are vampires that survive off of good energy, there are vampires that survive off of bad energy, there are vampires that survive off of sexual energy, there are vampires that survive off of blood. And New Orleans is the only place in the world where you can find members of all four of those vampire tribes. Maybe she wanted me to remember this portion of it as a warning. I don't know.
I need a minute. need a minute. Goddamn vampires in New Orleans. You know, I always said I wanted to visit New Orleans. I'm glad I got this information before I visited it, because this is crazy. Did y'all see the world we live in? Anybody? Is anybody seeing the world we live in? Because this is a lot to take in. A lot to take in. Y'all. Yeah, I'm learning just as y'all learning right now. I'm gonna have my handy dandy sage spray up in here. Come on. What's up? What you wanna do? Cause no, you're not finna do that. What? You a vampire? Huh? You better get out of here with that. Don't come over here. See, this is exactly why we got to learn, y'all. We gotta learn the world. We gotta learn the world.
To my New Orleans trip, and we're going to talk about the vampires that I saw. We ended up at this bar that had live music, and then this is what caught my eye at first. There was this table in the back right corner that a lot of people were sitting at, and they were sitting like on top of the table and on the actual like benches of the table. Their vibe was completely different than everyone else's in the room. It was just kind of, the only way that I can describe it, it was like a still darkness. It was just kind of off. But there were these two guys in particular that caught my attention. One was this tall black guy, right, that was sitting on one of the table, very tall. And this other guy who was like a shorter white guy, you know. But they both looked very interesting. But I turned back towards the bar so that I can grab my drink and talk to my friend that was next to me. Tell me how, as soon as I turned around with my drink, he was standing there right in front of me. Like some Twilight shit. He started talking to my friend, asking where we're from, what we were doing. Now, one of my friend's boyfriends, who actually lives in New Orleans, was with us, by the way. But anyway, this vampire dude and his tall friend convinced my friends, not me, that we needed to go to this bar. I think it's one of the oldest bars that's in New Orleans. And they have this unlisted shot that you have to ask the bartender for that's not on the menu. And as we started walking, we noticed that we're getting further and further away from, you know, Touristville. And by this time, I really wish that I could explain it, but the vibes were just so weird. They were so weird. And I told my friends pretty much that it was a really creepy vibe. Like, why do we need to go all the way out somewhere else just for a shot, you know? And on top of that, their energy was just not normal. And my friend's boyfriend agreed with me. And I specifically remember like typing out a text on my phone. And as we were walking, I showed it to my friend's boyfriend. And I straight up said, I think they're vampires. And he just looked at me like with the most serious look, like, I don't know why he didn't say anything out loud. Like, I guess maybe he didn't want to seem like the crazy one. But this is where shit started to get real. So there has to be a part 3 to this because there's no way I'm going to be able to fit it. So we got to this bar that they wanted us to go to so bad. He ordered those special shots for everyone. Myself and my friend's boyfriend just kind of looked at each other like, I'm not drinking this shit. I don't know what's in this. So like we barely sipped it and then just kind of like chucked the rest. And after that, the shorter guy, he started holding a conversation with one of my friends. And this conversation was drawn out. Like I'm talking about 25, 30 minutes. But the conversation was only about her, like her life, what she's doing. Every time she tried to ask him something about his life, he deflected it. Or it was something like 2 words, like very brief, back to you. Meanwhile, his tall friend didn't say anything to anyone the entire time. He was just sitting there off to the corner, like just there, blank-faced. And I noticed as their conversation kept going, the more drained my friend started to get. And then I was like, A lot of times when people think about vampires, they think about blood-sucking vampires, like freaking Twilight or, you know, whatever other TV show or movie. Most of the time, and I'm not saying that it doesn't exist because I know that it does, but most of the time, these are energy vampires. And they literally suck the life out of you. And that's exactly what was happening to her. But they didn't want to hear me at that time. So after she started getting tired, all yawning and stuff, he tries to make his way over to me. And I had such a dominant energy when he came over to me because I'm like, you're not about to fuck with my energy. So I looked at him in the eyes the entire time. And every time he tried to ask me something, I reflected the question. I was like, what about you? And after about like 5 minutes, he knew that he wasn't going to get anywhere with me. You can't play with me, I'm a witch. Fast forward, my friend started saying how she was tired. If we didn't do anything, she's just gonna go back and fall asleep. So when we left, they wanted to go to this 4-story like nightclub. But as we were walking there, I started telling them what I was feeling and what I knew, that they were freaking vampires. And then we decided to lose them when we got in there. Now, when I tell you guys, this place was packed like wall to wall, every floor. I think we went all the way up to the 3rd floor. I can 100% tell you that we lost them and that crowd of people because we were inside the building before they even got inside. So they wanted to go out on the balcony because they wanted to smoke or whatever. And I was sitting there telling them like, dude, like those guys were freaking vampires. That tiredness that you're feeling because they were draining your energy. Tell me how. 2 minutes later, I turn around and guess who's there? And this time it was almost with a smirk on his face. Like, oh, that's cute. You thought you lost me, didn't you? And somehow he knew what I was talking about before he even got there. He was like, so what were you saying to your friend? And proceeded to pick. Okay, this is the final part to my vampire story. So when he put me on that balcony, y'all, I was shook. Like, and I look over to the corner where my friends were, and none of them were like looking over. I was like, how are you guys not seeing this right now? So what I did was I kind of pushed my leg down so that I would have had at least most of my body like close to the floor. Like that was the smoothest threat I had ever seen. But I did get down. I was definitely trying to play it off and keep things cool. But either way, shortly after that, we ended up leaving. And it's so crazy because even after all of that, he gave me his number. Like, I kid you not. And in my head, I was like, should I have a vampire friend? My sheer curiosity and just like, wow, like this is magical.
Some of them are more aggressive and they like a challenge. That's why they were chasing them. Like they could have went to somebody else, you know, they lost them, but they ended up finding her on the balcony. And then he picked her up. He knew that she was very dominant in her spirit and he still picked her up.
So this video is for anyone who is in the service industry, whether you're a waitress, a bartender, anything of the sorts. So we had this lady come in tonight and she was very obviously a spiritualist. And, you know, based on just the way she was dressed and the way she carried herself. And it was obvious to me because I'm an energy worker, but I want to explain something because there are people that you guys are dealing with that might be like totally wrecking your night, but I'm going to give you like a telepathic way of dealing with it, whether you believe in it or not. Like if you're a server or again, a bartender, anyone in the service industry, and you come across a person like this, whether you believe in my weird shit or not, you're going to want to like use this and apply this the next time you have somebody like this. So this lady comes in and she immediately, wants to know the food menu.
Had me read it to her.
So it's not only that, but she wants a drink. So our kitchen is closed and so she wants a drink and she doesn't know what kind of drink. She wants to know the special. Well, we don't have specials. Okay, well, she wants something apple. So we have a couple apple options and I put one of them in for her because again, we're about to close and I'm like, she just wants something apple. She responds with, oh, I was just asking about your apple items. I didn't want that. Stay with me. So she had a whole apple ass drink made for her last call, like we're closing literally, and she's like, it's missing something, it's missing it. And like by that time I had already disengaged because I kind of peeped the situation for what it was. But you get where I'm going with this. Nothing was about to satisfy her, and the very kind and considerate bartender that like was dealing with her at the time was literally like, yo, I thought we were about to throw hands because this bitch was just not satisfied at all, and she's like the kindest person. So she complains about her drink after it's made. It gets dumped out. Obviously, you can't get anything else because it was last call. And as this bitch gets up, she like brought the menu with her and then like kind of tossed it down behind her. And at that point, I was just like, you know, I can't explain like my energy work to all of these people I'm working with right now because like it doesn't matter what I know really. Okay, and so I'm getting to the point. She leaves, And not only does she like go out the door, she comes back out the door and was like, oh, something was with the door. And like, it was like a whole fucking thing. What she was doing was conjuring confusion, frustration, and like these emotional things throughout the interaction that she had while she was there. And where this wouldn't mean anything to like a naked eye or like an unknowing person, what she was doing was like pulling energy from every single person in there. And by the time she was complaining about her drink, I telepathically was like, yo, bitch, I know who you are. You need to leave. I know who you are. I know exactly who you are. And I know exactly what you need to do, and you need to leave. And yeah, within 30 seconds, she was out, but like she was still conjuring, pulling. And so come to find out earlier in that day, like she was on the corner, you know, like shaking an umbrella at stopped traffic at a crossroads. Again, that's energy work. That's like witchery things. It doesn't matter the details. It doesn't matter. I'm just like, yo, if you have weird shit going like that on in work, I know that didn't make sense. There's a ways to telepathically, like, I know who you are and you need to leave. I know who you are. Whether you believe it or not, if you're having trouble with people at work like that, start saying that to them quietly, not out loud in your mind. I know who you are and you need to leave. Because she caused a lot of like emotional disruption within the area that I was working. And not just for me, but like for other people. And I know that sounds so fucking crazy. If you're an energy person, you get it. If you're just like, oh, that happens to me sometimes and I wish I knew how to handle it. Now you know how to handle it.
So I'm gonna give you a prime example of this. This is a time where I didn't know about energy vampires. Like when I was a kid, you know, I used to watch Vampire Diaries, the originals, all of that. But when I was working at Chuck E. Cheese, that's when I was watching the TV show. And for some reason, I was just attracted to watching stuff about vampires. And then lo and behold, my whole work environment is around energy vampires. But let's just get into me standing up at the cash register, and this woman walks in. And before she even walks in, she stands at the door and she stops. It's literally people coming in behind her, but she stops right at the beginning of the door where you can't push it open. So the people are standing right there just like, hey, can you keep going? She stops and she's like pointing her finger at her I think it was her grandson. She was pointing her finger at her grandson and just it looked like she was yelling at him or arguing with him like, do you want to go home or something? And he looked like a pretty nice kid. Just looked really uncomfortable. They walked up, they stamped his hand, and then I was at the cash register. So when it was a line, and then she was standing in the line while I was taking the register, and she walks off and told him to stand right there, and she grabs the cotton candy. The cotton candy is sitting out, you know, and she grabs it and she just opens it and starts eating it. And she was like, do you want some? She said it to her grandson. And I was just looking at her and I'm like, you know, she didn't, you know, you haven't paid for that. She just opened it and she just locked eyes with me. And for some reason, when we locked eyes, for some reason, I just felt like I just shrunk completely into myself. Literally, like I felt really, really dry. She's looking at me and she's eating the cotton candy. And I tell her, I said, hey, you have to pay for that before you open and eat it. And she was just like, this long line, I'm not finna wait. And she was like really being very aggressive with me when I was just trying to tell her what, you know, you're not supposed to do. And she knew that she wasn't supposed to do it. Other people are just looking at her crazy. And while she's just looking at me, and it's a very aggressive, like, you're not going to do anything about it type of look. And this is look like a 70-year-old woman. She walks back over, constantly looking at me. And while she's standing in line eating the cotton candy, as I'm finishing the transaction with the person ahead of the little boy, they both walk up while she's holding the cotton candy. And then I asked her, you know, hey, what would you like to get? And then she was just very, very aggressive with how she was speaking to me and just like really giving me a lot of eye contact, and it was making me nervous at that time because I felt like I could not look inside this woman's eyes. It was very, very like a dark, evil presence. People make orders at Chuck E. Cheese and they order for the pizza and the tokens and stuff like that. You give them a tray, you give them napkins, you give them spoons, forks, knives, and you know, a plate and plates. So I piled all of that onto the tray. And then she said, I don't like my paper towels on top of my plates. You need to throw away them plates and the napkins that you put on top. Redo it. And I just looked at her for like 5 seconds. And then I said, of course. And then I threw out everything that she asked me to throw away. I put the napkins underneath the plate. Then she said, I don't want my napkins touching the tray. And I'm just like, okay, so where do you want me to put the napkins? And then she was like, do you have a problem with me? And I said, no. And at that point, I was a teenager. I didn't know that she was an energy vampire. But when she asked me, when I said, no, I don't have a problem. And then she just looked at me like, and it was just, her eyes had so much darkness in them. So I said, where do you want me to put the napkins? And she pointed, and then I put the napkins there. I finished up her transaction. And for some reason, when she walked away, I wanted to cry so bad. Like, I wanted to cry because of the amount of emotional and energetic drainage that I felt. I was just like, the people behind her, you know, they were melanated just like I was, and they had crystals and stuff like I had on, and they was just like, it's okay. I know what just happened. Just breathe. And then they allowed me to breathe through the situation, and I took their order, and I felt a little bit better when they were talking to me and saying, like, this happens. There are grown-ups out here who are there, who have issues. Do not take it personally. And they were just like, for some reason, I felt so good afterwards when the people behind her were talking to me. So that was my first interaction with an energy vampire. That just reminded me of that situation, because they're going to want attention and they're going to make you have to deal with them. You know, and if you're in a public, if you're working in the food industry or customer service, that, you know. Do y'all remember when Megan Fox said she drinks her boyfriend's blood for like ritualistic purposes? Just watch this real quick. Let me know if I'm tweaking.
This one's even creepier, and it's right in front of us. Megan Fox is totally an energy vampire, and her engagement and her other marriage make it obvious. This beautiful man is 32, and this beautiful woman is 35. I know they're already engaged, but they haven't been together long, only like 2 years. Here they are around the time when they first started publicly dating. Look at his face. He still looks like MGK. Like, nothing has changed, really. So they started dating around the beginning of 2020, and here's a really good example of his face before he really got involved with her. See how it's so full and pigmented? This is another really good example. Just look at how full his face is, and you can see his aura. Like, you can just feel his energy just based off these pictures. It's also really prevalent if you watch videos. His skin just looks so alive, and this is a really good example because he's smiling, and like, you see his lines obviously, but just look at his face. Look at him now. The difference is just so creepy. Just look at that shift. It's obvious. Look at her, and then him, and then back at her. He looks drained, but she's glowing.
It's given like, okay, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm a vampire. But look, we can be vampires together, because they both do it they both do it to each other. Now he think he holding all the power. But she look at her face. Look at her face. Do you see that? She looks like a vampire. Look at it. And look at his face. Y'all think it's a game. Look at his face. He think he know what he doing, but he don't know what he doing. I think she teaching him, but slowly doing the same thing to him. Like, she is very powerful. And you know what movie she played in. You know it. You don't think she learned something from that? You don't think she learned? Y'all, it's real out here. It's really real out here.
Compare his aura to this picture and this. And then that shift, it's odd. Look at him now. The difference is just so creepy. Just look at that shift. It's obvious. Look at her, and then him, and then back at her. He looks drained, but she's glowing. Like, compare his aura to this picture and this picture. He's just like deteriorated. This TikToker pointed out his smile. Like, look at it here and here. like in less than 2 years. Like here he was before. I mean, there's definitely something there, and you either get it or you don't. But I have more to show you.
There's some people in the comments saying that he does have a substance abuse problem, so that could, gain to it.
I did not realize that energy vampires was a real concept until I fucking met one. Let me explain. These are some of the most intelligent, smartest, most manipulative people you can ever come across. In fact, they're so intelligent that you can come and talk to them about any fucking opinion and they're going to sound very educated, well informed, like they did their research on it, and sometimes may even be stated as if there were facts, and you might just believe them because they sound very credible. These people will read you. These people will bring up topics that make you very uncomfortable with hidden intentions just to see how you will react. In fact, they will use jokes as an umbrella just to really say how they really fucking feel. You can spend hours talking to this person and it will feel like 5 minutes. They're so intriguing, they're so captivating, you'll be so pulled in, and then when you're done talking to them, you're gonna wonder where all the fucking time has went. And then you will feel depleted.
We know what we looking at. Let's get in on the secret.
The way that energy vampires work is that they want to create a strong emotional reaction within you. This typically means triggering a core wound. When you respond to the trigger, it creates an energetic food source. This is why their goal is to amplify deep feelings of shame, fear, or inadequacy. So this is how you're going to spot an energy vampire. Recognize how you feel during and after interacting with someone. If you find yourself feeling insecure, unattractive, self-conscious, self-critical, chances are you're dealing with someone that lower vibrational entities are working through and cording into your energetic system. Once these energy cords are established, they can continue to steal or exchange energy with you that essentially is the food source, this energetic food source that we're talking about. Now here's the hack for no longer creating or attracting these types of energetic bonds with people. And it's very simple. Intentionally use your emotional triggers as teachers by choosing and deciding to learn from them. You do this by consciously becoming aware of unhealed wounds, working on them, thus shifting into a higher vibrational state of being that will no longer attract these types of energetic reflections. You will repel energy vampires from your field.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you understood it. Because you got to understand energy if you want to work, if you want to protect yourself against an energy vampire, you got to know how energy works. So in order for energy vampires to even suck off of you, and some of them can just touch you, but also if there's holes and there's weaknesses, they will try to trigger them. The more advanced ones can touch you, but when the ones who are still learning, they will try to trigger you. So when you notice them triggers, use it as an example to hold your power, because you learning about yourself. You learning about who you are. And just look them in the eyes. Assert your dominance in the energy. Because in your head, that is where the energy plane is. So telepathically tell them, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. And you are not welcomed. You may exit my space.
This is how I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me. I should have fucking known, bitch. I should have known. That was me. That was me. This is your friendly reminder that life does get better. And that if you date the wrong people, they actually have the ability to dim your light. Look at my eyes in that video. Look at me right now. There is a clear physical difference from when I was in that relationship to right now. In that video, that was 6 months after I found out I almost died. 2 weeks after I found out my boyfriend cheated on me. I moved back home. My life was practically in shambles. This is literally proof. When you are around energy vampires and people that suck your energy, it has physical effects on you. I know you're probably thinking, Taylor, you're tan right now. You hair makeup's done. In that video, your makeup's not done. Just look at my eyes. I look drained. I look distraught. The light in my eyes is gone. But don't ever think that somebody can steal your light. Because baby, I got it back and I'm better than ever. So if you are looking for a sign to leave that toxic man, I'm it.
Like when you look back at the pictures of how you looked when you were in a relationship with somebody in the past and how you look now, and you could sometimes in the past relationships you look older than what you are now. This is how you can tell if you're looking at old pictures of yourself while you were in a relationship with a toxic person or somebody who you knew it didn't end well and it wasn't a pleasant experience, and you look at yourself now and you look older than what you are now in those pictures. Oh, that's how you can tell they were depleting your energy. She says she feels completely drained after having with him. Why is that? Come on. You don't know why? Okay, let's just hear what she has to say.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to be honest with you. Like, this is about to be some real talk, okay? So, everybody has their own life force, right? So, let's say yours is at a certain level. His is at a certain level. Yours is higher. It's more stable. Carrying a higher frequency. His is lower. So that means a couple of things. Either he's unhealthy physically and has a lot of blocked energy, or he has some type of a spiritual sickness and has blocked energy, or he has negative entities that are there and has blocked energy, or he's deliberately feeding and siphoning off of your life force energy and draining you. Either way it goes, you're getting drained because you have more than him. But again, with that last point, if he's doing it deliberately, you get what I'm saying? If he's doing it deliberately, because men can do that, and there are men that are energy vampires like that, then it's always going to leave you tired. And in addition to that, you'll notice that you'll start to have certain types of issues with your reproductive organs or with your menstrual cycle. Like maybe you have more cramping, maybe you have heavy bleeding, maybe you're spotty. It could be a few things. I actually didn't expect to talk about this publicly because I don't want to scare y'all and people come for me. I got some stories. As a healer, I've had to help women with a lot of stuff.
Okay, we're going to leave it off right there. I know what you're thinking. Kaya, why isn't the video longer? What are you doing? We need more content. I need to take this information in, okay? I need to really digest what I just watched because as y'all know, when I look up certain videos, when I look up a topic, I just like certain videos that I see, and I don't watch the full video. So I'm seeing it as you're seeing it. And I need to take this in. I need to really address what is going on in the world and address life, okay? All right. I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see y'all on another one and enjoy the rest of your day.